2025 Classic Bass Champions Tour season brought lots of excitement with new ownership, Dane Vocelka, a few changes, a few wrinkles, and the schedule just came out Monday for 2026. And it seems like a lot of people have questions, want to know what other wrinkles, what other things we're going to see. And so, with that, we might as well go right to the source. It was a pretty popular stream last year with Dane as kind of announcing taking over things. And now we'll kind of maybe do a little recap of last year, the good, the bad, the ugly, and look forward to 2026 and all the like giant changes. Just right that the things that are, or maybe not, but we'll cover everything and answer anybody's questions. So hopefully there's a bunch of tour anglers and potential future qualifiers that have a bunch of questions, and we'll just knock them all out tonight, and maybe just fans as well.
Absolutely. Looking forward to it, Rich. Thanks for having us on yet again. I can't believe that season went by that fast. Felt like a month and it was done.
All right. Brian says we both sound and look good. So yeah, and we got some questions from pulled over from Facebook comments today from the posts. I'll try to keep an eye on the stream chat as best as I can. And yeah, we'll rock and roll and get through some things. So I think you've had some time to reflect. You've had, I don't know, almost a month now to like exhale, take a breath in after the championship on Green Lake. Like you see, we spent a couple days in the boat and you like to ask a lot of questions. And I feel like you've reflected and have like some takeaways. So I'd like to hear them.
Yeah. Well, the funny thing is I thought there'd be a little more of a break in the off season. There really just isn't. Everything from the initial like shock of it being over takes a couple days, and then immediately your thought rolling into the sponsorships and getting, your budget plan, and then it's such like an on and off situation where you're thinking about next year and you're reflecting about the past year, right? 2025 season. Man, well, I mean, there's so much to reflect. You kind of have to break it down event by event and look at the accidents that took place and try and correct them. And you sometimes chew on one incident a bit longer than the other one. But at the end of the day, as long as my intent is to make it better and make it better for the viewership as well as the anglers and the sponsors, I think it's headed in the right direction. So I don't think the reflection period ever ends. Scott and Nancy Bonema and I have periodic conversations and giggle about that, and there's always a bit of information I can take from everybody, but most importantly the former owners, and now we can sit back and laugh about certain things, and I finally understand what it takes to run a successful trail.
Obviously, I think Scott was, the brain child, had the idea, and set a really good sound foundation. And so then I was kind of, the baton was handed off swiftly over probably a pretty short time, and you kind of had to decide what you wanted to do in a short amount of time and what things you should mess with and which ones you shouldn't, and kind of put your stamp on it without like, turning the whole thing over.
Yeah, dramatic changes are no bueno. It was already such a well-oiled machine. It just maybe needed a little touch, of excitement here and there, or innovation with bringing sponsorship deliverables and making the viewership more integrated or excited. And there were corrections in that also with the blackout period that, sometimes you listen a little bit to the audience, and it's always 50-50. You can never make everybody happy. Some people think I should have kept the blackout period for the entire season. Other anglers were happy that I got rid of it, but I think I found a happy medium that I can work with next year. And there are some fairly dramatic changes in terms of the field size and certain destinations and times of year that we're fishing. But we'll dive all into that, I'm sure, as the questions unroll. And it was a really good year, and I learned a lot, and I'm excited to jump into this year knowing as much as I do now.
Yeah. It was, yeah. I mean, I thought, were there was everything perfect? No, it almost never happens on any circuit. Like,
No,
but I
no,
think overall, I think my experience was very positive. Um, I think we saw things get ironed out throughout the season. Like, you weren't afraid to make adjustments on some things that were happening,
yeah,
clarify some things, emphasize some things that needed to be emphasized. So I think that all showed. You know, it wasn't like overreactions, but there was it was like maybe we got up and we chine walked a little bit, and we were a little, and we kind of made those corrections and kind of like right.
yeah, yeah, and the integrity amongst the anglers is held to the highest standard, and I think that kind of drives the ship itself. I just have to make sure that everything runs smoothly and is the best ran event that I can possibly run. And we make little adjustments here and there, and with more time under my belt, the smoother and the larger things will get. So now I have that foundation created, and we have some new ideas and some exciting, little tweaks that are going to come about for next year. But we call it the off season. Rich, it doesn't feel like an off season for me.
Yeah, I can understand that. I mean, I kind of feel the same way.
Yeah.
I should mention we are HellaBass live on Wednesday night, presented by Arsenal Fishing and boosted by Powerhouse Lithium. As always, I don't want to forget that. Um, which are also, I guess, in 2025, we're partners. Not like I guess that's a coincidence. It's not like prearranged. But great partners for the Champions Tour and for my channel. So
Yeah. How neat is that? I mean, when a product proves itself, you know, and the customer service and everything behind both brands stands out the way that it does. It just seemed fit to try and integrate Powerhouse Lithium, and Arsenal has been there for all 9 years. But RJ and the guys at Powerhouse have become much closer, which is great. I'm happy to have them on our team.
and in your boat.
And in my boat, all Powerhouse lithium batteries. It's the first time I've ever ran all lithiums. I actually, when I bought my new Skeeter this year, it came to my house still wrapped in all the factory plastic. I broke everything down and filled everything up with oil and fluids and ran all my batteries and put all my fuse blocks and cutoff switches and wire through the whole thing. And it was a super seamless process. And I haven't had one issue with the batteries since I've had them. So they'll be in my boat next year, definitely.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think one of the things maybe to like start the conversation is, 67 anglers in the field last year.
Yeah.
We're going to 50 next year. What's the thought process? What's the benefit to the anglers in the organization, and what's your vision for the 50?
Yeah, and there's some bit of misconception where we're trying to reduce the field size to get into smaller lakes, but the real benefit, I think, is trying to narrow down the field size so the media coverage and the sponsor representation then is isolated and pinpointed down to a smaller group of the best anglers in the state. It allows us to split the lake and have fresh water without divvying up the 67 maybe in half, 50-50, like we did 2 years ago. The lakes are a bit fresher in that second half. So that's one reason for shrinking down that field size. But really, the media and the sponsorship representation, I think, will be the biggest deal. Taking away almost 20 anglers really allows us to showcase those stories and those talents, and makes it easier to hop in those boats with the team that we have. If I were to head the opposite direction, it would be more overhead to have more camera guys and more storytelling, and it's harder to narrow that down for the presentation, the YouTube channel, the social media presence on both Facebook and Instagram, and the website. So I felt I could deliver a better product with a slightly smaller field.
Right. So really, it comes down to not splitting the coverage with so many anglers, right? So rather than
Yeah.
basically, in theory, every angler is going to get 25% more coverage, more impressions, more whatever. Obviously, still the people that catch them and finish in the top tens and top fives are going to get more, and as
Yeah,
deservedly so. But
yeah,
just the boat takeoff photos, the gallery photos, the quick interviews. I mean, like it's just it's going to go around, and the anglers are going to get more impressions for their partners, and so now then it's up to the anglers to do what they may with that. If you're the kind of angler that pays your entry fees and goes fishes and you just do your thing and you're happy to do that, then maybe that's not a big deal to you. But if you're an angler that has partners, whether they're aligned with the tour or not, but right, it gives them and you more exposure, and you can leverage that to your ability.
absolutely. With how the social media presence proved itself this year in Bartusic media, I mean, we quadrupled views and interactions and impressions from the year prior. It's only going to heighten that experience for those anglers, and I feel like 50 is just kind of a sweet number. It'll be reflected in the qualifying circuit, which has grown now too. It'll make the transition in running and operating those events when I go from having the team to not having the full team for the qualifying circuit a bit easier for me to try to mirror everything and payouts, and then everything can be kind of symmetrical, if you will, ratio wise payouts and numbers, and it'll be easier on my end to facilitate.
Yeah, absolutely. And I am kind of starring questions, so if I don't jump on them right away, I am trying to like star them and weave them in. More of a comment. Jigs had said he really likes the bio for the anglers.
Yeah,
He likes that. That's been around for many seasons.
yeah.
The angler bios.
So here's the big deal, Rich. I redid the website this morning. I rebuilt it. I already dropped it live. It's kind of in its infancy, if you will. But the look and the aesthetic of it's very similar to what it's going to look like and carry out throughout the off season. That bio thing is really cool, and I want there to be more stories. So as I develop that bio section in the website, it'll be much more intimate. We'll have more headshots and other photos and things that represent the anglers as I build it. But that was just dropped. I just felt like today was the day I needed to make this thing roll forward and move forward. And yeah, the bio page, and it even links up to when we do morning takeoffs. If I can jump in there and have all of this information on my phone when I go through my takeoff, and I can even create a better takeoff experience, and having everything on one page is very helpful. So that's the start of everything. This is how it's gonna take off moving forward, and it'll be built upon. You'll see week by week how things are integrated and flow and move, and what new products are released. And now you're just showing all the goodies. Yeah.
I noticed it seemed like it was in the works, because like I was actually putting out my green video, and I
Yep.
kind of didn't wasn't as prompt getting that out because it wasn't something I was super excited about. Nothing to do with you, but more about my performance. But
Sure.
and I was like going to try to look up how I did. Like I knew it was like a small, but I was like, no, the website's down, so I figured you guys were rebooting it.
Yep. Yeah, absolutely. And like I jumped in there. Literally, I built it all myself, and kind of know what some of the anglers have been dropping little nuggets as we go. And it's just the navigation of it and the communication, but all of those statistics and history and things will be uploaded as it develops. And I'll have more help and assistance from my team. This is just kind of the structure that I envisioned, and I have some knowledge in history building websites, but this will allow me to really, again, bring some more value and deliverables to the sponsors, and then to you, the anglers. You'll be able to upload your social media links, and in your own page, I'll have everything dropped in there where you can highlight what you want visible in videos in your own brand, and it'll be much more user friendly from your phone.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I guess we got the schedule pulled up here. So that came out Monday. I guess a few things. We're starting earlier, and I guess like I haven't sent my money in yet, but at this point I'm planning
Yeah.
to. I requalified. I think so I guess maybe just touch on existing anglers have until November 17th, I think, to get their deposit in, give or
Yep.
take. I think that's the date. Obviously, if they don't get their deposit in, no exceptions, that spot is given up. And I guess if somebody does not rejoin from the 45, what's the process?
It goes down in Angler of the Year points from there in the Angler roster. So it'll drop down to 46. Yeah. We'll only take 45 pros back. And the same thing then is mirrored over to the qualifiers. If Hayden Anderson, who won the qualifying event, decided that he doesn't want to fish next year, it'll drop down to 6th place and so on and so forth until we make our field 50.
So every year, or I guess this year, it'll be based on 45 returning pros and 5 new qualifiers. All right.
Correct.
Let's future qualifiers. We'll kick that can down. We will get there, but I think we'll talk about that a little later. So Mille Lacs, we're starting before the catch and keep season opens in Minnesota.
Yeah, and these are tentative dates. I've been tossing the idea around about pushing it a week earlier, even just to try and get it real cold water. I'm trying to avoid at all costs it being any sort of a spawn derby. But yeah, before catch and release season, approved by the DNR, they're allowing us to fish this type of tournament as soon as the ice is off.
I will say there is a 200 boat Bass Nation tournament qualifier out of La Crosse the weekend before.
Yeah, there also is what is that? I believe that's fishing opener. You know what? Here's the hardest thing with the schedule is you move it 1 week before or after, or keep it as is. I mean, some of our anglers, even on our roster right now, are going to be fishing a Bassmaster Open down in Alabama days after that May 19th, which would hurt their practice. And that's such a tough thing because you kind of have to keep in your own lane. But that's a hard one. That's a really hard one. You're always
also, I assume at this point you don't actually have permits for all these lakes, right?
Correct. Like, this is a tentative schedule, but looking for big fish, different times of year, different lakes at different times of year. And, like Pokegama is fairly small and the championship is fairly small. And Mille Lacs, we've never been to this early. And I've always wanted to see what people can do pre-spawn.
Yeah, so let's Mille Lacs. We're going early. We're taking extra advantage of the catchway release component and going earlier in the year.
Absolutely.
Mother Nature will tell us how much pre-spawn and how much spawn it will be. But either way, gonna be unless it's just ungodly windy or something like that, or just really bad conditions, I expect that to be a slugfest. Safe to say. Is there any provisions of any thoughts on if we do have, 50 mile, I don't know, crazy winds on a lake like I guess I haven't never seen watching classic bass over the years. Is there any, I guess we got Big Stone and Mille Lacs, the first two are lakes that can get pretty wild if you get real bad winds. What is the stance? I guess I've never asked that before.
It's been discussed amongst, Director Paul Newman and myself and Providence Marketing. We've always discussed, if you know that it's going to be really windy on Tuesday, that it could potentially be moved to that Monday, as most of the anglers are there on Monday, and you can navigate that and work that out the week prior, which is what we've always kind of discussed, regardless of what lake it is. If something comes up weather related, that's the safest bet. I guess until we get to that scenario, do we really need to lay all that out? But that's what.
Well, but it's good to know. So you're if you're looking, come Friday, first day of practice, and you see it's 90% chance that we are not fishing on Tuesday, then there would be texts and emails sent out to the field saying, hey, there's a pretty good chance we'll be fishing Monday or something like that. So it wouldn't be Wouldn't be like Sunday night. Hey guys, buckle up.
Yeah.
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 Okay. Okay.
Yeah. The
I mean,
safety of the marshals comes first, right?
right.
Yeah.
That would be the biggest thing, is right, getting the marshals to come on Monday instead of Tuesday, and
Right.
getting all those plans adjusted. So,
Right.
all right. So yeah, Mille Lacs, we're going early, taking advantage of um the off. Then we go Big Stone, South Dakota, Minnesota border. So none of these, I guess, none of the first four are new venues to Classic Bass. These are all places that have had at least one event. I mean, Blacks, I know there's been at least 2 regular seasons, a championship, and a pro-am there,
Yep.
I think.
Yep.
And then a Big Stone, there's been 1 regular season event. So June 9th, roll to Big Stone. That's not real far away from where it was 2 or 3 years ago, similar time of the year, middle of
Yeah.
June.
It was a little later in June where that curly leaf
Like,
was really grown up.
yeah, I'm sure there'll still be plenty
Yep.
June 9th, but
Yep. Yeah. There
so,
will be
so we
grass.
go from probably a dominated smallmouth event to it can be a largemouth, almost exclusive event. There's like 3 smallmouth that I'm aware of in Big Stone, but
Yeah.
in every fish tournament count, I don't think that's going to be a big player.
No.
Obviously, there's some largemouth that could be caught in Mille Lacs as well. Yeah, any comments on Big Stone?
Uh, Other than Big Stone, the city of Ortonville, and the Big Stone like tourism, bureau and chamber, like they're really excited to have us back. So that was kind of a big pull. They wanted to see us come back down. They're supporting the trail. They're going to be a sponsor this year.
Nice.
I think that'll be fun, to kind of work with them and jump back into it. I mean, it's been a few years since I was there, but I know we hit it at a time where it got super, grimy, and it was real hot. And then we had that giant storm that came through in the second half of the event. And we didn't really get to see what Big Stone was capable of because the lake kind of shut down in that second half. So this is kind of the redemption, if you will, of Big Stone and what it's going to do for the full field for 2 halves.
Yeah, I think that's interesting though. Big Stone is a lake that can kick them out, and a lake that can get kind of tough and feel the boat pressure. So I think that's an interesting element for the tour. um, let's jump to Pokegama. So that's pretty sure there's been at least, well, there was the first ever championship was on Pokegama.
Yep. Andy Walls
Back in
won
like
that one.
2016. Andy Walls, I was there. Brad Leitner, we thought all in the first half back in this was like an old version of the app. The anglers that were fishing it thought he had like 70 pounds in the first half and was leading by like 50 pounds. But then we found out that his marshal entered the same 1 pound, 3 ounce fish in like 60 times. And so it was a bit of an error.
Debacle.
So like, wrinkles with technology and things that's been a thing for tournaments and Classic Bass. Just, things like that happen. But yeah, a diverse fishery, that's probably more of a 50-50 fishery, right? Largemouth, smallmouth.
Yeah.
Getting into the
Much
summertime
more.
could be a lot of things happening. Shallow, deep, green, brown. Yeah, obviously I don't know at this point if we know how much of the field is in play versus not. I don't know, any comments on that, or is that something to be determined later as far as like the upper lakes and the river and that kind of stuff?
Yeah, we'll get to that once we have everything narrowed down. And that is pending a bunch of approval from the DNR and how far you can run and what bodies of water you can run into. But regardless, if it's just the main lake, there's so many arms and places you can fish, and then there's the obvious, smallmouth basin chasing kind of suspended deal that can happen too out there. So it'll really open it up and make it, very diverse.
Are you saying we could have a right place, right time kind of situation?
Absolutely. 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 You could. Yeah.
And then I guess let's maybe talk anything. I think, did I hear you say somewhere that the championship is a new venue completely to Classic Bass? Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
So will not be a repeat of any regular season or championship in the past.
No, new
And that's all you're
venue,
going to
new
tell me right now.
place. Very excited. Yep. There's, again, like tourism chambers excited to have us out there, begging us to come out, wanting us to showcase the venue and the lakes that are in the area. I will release more of that after that first event or in that pre-tournament meeting for the first event, and we'll discuss practice rules and everything as it rolls forward.
It's an interesting question while we're talking schedule. Is there any concern while being in school for marshals in May?
Yeah, last year or this past year,
I think even Vermilion, right? I guess the kids were still a lot of kids were still in school this year.
Yeah, 75% of the kids at Marshall were in school, and it was the last week of school. And most of the parents told us it'd be 10 times easier if you made it earlier in the season instead of that first week of June, which just showed how supportive the families and the youth and that in our state really is for the Champions Tour.
I guess we don't really condone kids missing school, but I mean, it's pretty crazy how much kids miss school with athletics and things like that. And I guess that's kind of like same bucket, right? If they're high school fishing kids, they're probably missing some school for fishing, and actually being in Mille Lacs much easier, right? Much more centrally located,
so much
closer to the cities. Vermilion was, from probably where the epicenter of our anglers are, and then this probably works out better.
And there's 17 less that you need to get.
Right.
I mean, we already were booking out more than enough marshals for 67 spots. And it just comes down to those that are in the fishing teams and, in their youth, BASS and SATT and SAO divisions, that they'll all jump on board. Most of them do their fishing in the off season throughout the summer. So this gives them a little taste or teaser before their season starts in early summer.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Right on. Yeah. So I guess nothing else to say on the championship other than you're excited and it's a new venue.
Yeah. That'll be super. I'm jealous. I guess pop in.
Are we going to find out similar time frame as this past season? So it'll be basically announced on May 18th. Give or take.
Correct.
Okay. Cool. Then the Pro-Am. There's lots of questions about the Pro-Am.
Yeah.
So Gull, great venue. Same kind of thing to Bokegama. We got a growing smallmouth population, large, big ones, plenty of big. I mean, Gull is probably fishing as good as any lake in the state right now.
Absolutely. Yeah. Smash Fest. Eight biggest bass, all on the Real Live Well app. The entry fees cut down to $500 to promote more participation. Payouts will be similar. It'll be kind of a ratio cut down, split, pro side entries paying for pro side and AMs for AMs. What a tournament that'll be. I'm assuming that'll be a highly sought out event for a lot of people across Minnesota.
Right, so how many boats in the Pro-Am?
We could have up to 100.
Okay. So 100 would be a full field.
Pulling a bigger permit for that one, yeah.
Okay.
You're anticipating anywhere from 80 to 100 boats, yeah.
Yeah. So, and not required if you're a two angler, but encouraged.
Yeah.
So, and that's basically an open for pro anglers. So, obviously, there might be some priority registration for tour anglers and maybe qualifier anglers to get their entries in first, I assume.
Yep.
But after that, it pretty much goes open to the public, and then anybody with a boat and $500 can get in and participate.
Yeah. It's one of those things.
That's the pro side, and then the AMs are high school anglers, and they have an entry fee as well.
Yep. This last year it was $100, so we'll have to see if we drop that down to 50 or 100 because we're cutting the pro side in half. But Champions Tour boat officials get priority to fish as an AM. and paired with the pros as they get filled up. And then once there's more pros and there's more open spots in the general public, and between 13 and 18 can fish as an am.
Sure. So you just 13 to 18. You don't have to be on a high school fishing team or anything like that. Did you have more AMs trying to sign up at Tonka than you had pros?
Yeah.
Okay. That tells me that you should stay at 100. That's just my opinion.
Yeah.
Like, I still think that's a pretty good ratio. I think you start to get 50, then maybe do we have, I think 100 is a good number. It says I'm serious and I'm going there with intention, but it's not definitely something that can't be overcome. It's not a high threshold.
Right.
So I think somebody asked, where did I see that one? Chris Brown, classic bass, maybe touch on the prime bends if a normal guy can jump in or youth only. So for AMs, it's 13 to 18. A normal guy can jump in and be the boater for 500.
Absolutely.
Let's see if there's anything else here about the Pro-Am.
We have implemented that all of our pros take the boater safety. That's now mandatory for certain anglers of a certain age, but for all of our pros in the Champions Tour, you must have the boater safety as a requirement. So when we get to that Pro-Am, you're going to need to have your boater safety and everything taken if you're going to take a marshal out. So that's something to also note for those that want to participate and they're waiting till that mid-June date to hop in. Don't wait till the last minute to take that Minnesota boater safety. It's important to all of us and the marshals that everyone has the credentials to do so. It just shows that you're serious and it holds everybody to a higher standard. So that needs to be disclosed too.
Yeah, and those boater safety classes actually take a couple hours to complete. It's not like a 15-minute thing, so you don't.
Yeah.
So I think going to 50, you expect that you really will have mostly student marshals this season. In the past, in certain events, you've had some adult marshals guys you guys have on call.
Mm-hmm.
But is there a need for that? Like, are you you don't really need more people, adults stepping up for marshals, or?
It always comes down to how many last minute no-shows do you encounter. And here's the situation. If you plan on at every event 5 maybe not showing up, do you invite 5 extra high school student athletes to come down and then we don't need them? Well, you can't have that either. So sometimes having the adults there, whether they're a chaperone or a parent that comes down, it's nice to have them on the backup, and that's usually where that adult integration is from a boat marshal standpoint. I would love to see 100% of the youth in every boat, but again, you kind of have to be careful. I know there were a couple of events where I dropped an extra marshal off in a boat. Brad Leitner was one of which we had 2 marshals at halftime one event on Lahamadou just because we had extra marshals, and you can only accommodate so much of that.
Yeah, I mean, you
the
can put one in the media
communication and
boat
last minute things.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think I saw Jeff. He had commented, it's the circuit is official once every DNR permit has been approved and every venue has been for, because there are some variables in there where some things get shuffled around, but it's pretty darn accurate. It's very close to those dates, if not the exact date.
I guess, will you have the permits by November 17th? I don't think they usually ask them that early, do they?
I can't. Yeah, I can't.
Maybe. I don't think you can guarantee it. That's for sure. Like,
no.
Yeah.
Sometimes they come back and say, oh, you have to move it, or we're very good about sending them in early. Like, all the checks and all the paperwork was sent in. Like I said, about when the season ended, we're already doing everything for 2026. So kind of just
comment from Christopher that he can see your drive. He's excited. Let's see here.
Thank you, Chris. Yeah, it takes a lot. It takes a full team, that's for sure.
There's been a couple questions. We kind of talked schedule, so I guess do you see bringing classic bass to other states or expanding it beyond, or how far do you see the reach? And maybe like your 2-year vision, and maybe like your stretch, I don't know, 5-10 year, I don't know.
Yeah, it all comes down to sponsor dollars at that point. A lot of people ask me, hey, why don't you add a 4th regular season event? Well, you would have to pay everyone to show up for a 4th regular season event, whether that's Bartusic Media or Providence Marketing or the setup crew or the media boat drivers. Those are the things that we don't think about, and that costs a lot of money to operate. If sponsor dollars go down, it's hard to start a whole nother circuit out of state. Would I like to see some out of state participation? Absolutely. Would I like to see an event go farther south, farther east, farther west, and try and get into central South Dakota or central Wisconsin even, and really push the Midwest boundaries? I think that's reasonable for 50 boats in a field of 50 to do. There is some talk about maybe even integrating some multi-species things out there too. I'm always looking for new sponsors that are seeing the envelope that can be pushed. There could be it could start as a classic walleye circuit north or south or east of us that really starts to shine and helps showcase what high school programs around the Midwest are doing and get them further involved in other species. That's kind of where my head's at with it. Do I want it to be the next BASS or MLF? No, it's its own thing. And it should stay in the Midwest as much as possible for the near future, because it reduces the angler's cost to stay relatively close, and B, most of the major players and sponsors in the industry are within 2 hours of my house anyways. So if I can draw people from a larger demographic or a larger area on the map to come to us, I think that's most beneficial in a 5-year plan. That'll help the payouts and help the cost of everything. And then we can discuss how we should have a Texas circuit or, treat Skeeter to a Champions Tour style event or a Skeeter owners tournament or whatever from Classic Bass, and start doing one-offs and bigger events. That could be really fun to see grow. That's probably the most realistic soon plan of attack.
But it's not like you don't have this bass fishing world domination like plan where you're like, I want to have 6 regions with all their own. I mean, like that's you're really like focused on like making what you have the best, and that's kind of the short-term goal to really like, how do we keep taking this one to the next level, right? I mean, that's the primary focus.
Yeah, and Rich, I have to just focus on doing this as best as I possibly can and make sure that it operates and runs itself before I even put too much of my energy elsewhere. I already have 3 other companies and businesses that kind of are working and networking together to help make this work. I'm not going to spread myself thin beyond what I have on my plate right now. Just give back to you guys as best I can to earn that trust and build that path, so it's a much more concrete climb than just a cliff at the end of the road.
Yeah, not trying to become Boyd Duckett tomorrow and try to own.
I have my own rod company, but yeah, I'm not fishing my own trail.
And they're not white, so that's good. All right, let's look at a few questions here. Yeah, I guess. So we kind of talked about this. Just talked about that. I guess you won't know whether round will be in the Pro-Am until you get permits, I assume. For golf.
Yeah, we'll have to wait. And my tournament director, Paul Newman, he makes all the final calls and decisions. I oversee and look at everything and okay everything, but I don't remember round being available 2 years ago. I don't think it was. I think our permit was just for the Gull Lake and Upper Gull Lake lakes.
And I guess, I don't know. Yeah. I mean, I guess with the Pro-Am, if we really do have 100, then it makes it a little more interesting. Because is there a split in the Pro-Am?
No.
Yeah. So I mean, I could see for that kind of event, it would be nice to have round in, but
No split,
kind of
no midday break. It's just full day best 8.
Yeah. I'm gonna go ahead and guess the answer is no, Jenna.
No, I can't. But I can guarantee you there will be ample space and places to book for campsites and your fifth wheel and resorts, and there's plenty. Yeah, there's plenty going on where we're headed.
So what's the rule on FFS? Front facing.
Fair game.
Mega Live 2.
Game,
So yeah, no electronics limitations, no screen restrictions, no transducer restrictions. It's whatever you need.
Continue to see it play kind of on both sides where it can hurt some people and helps others. And some of these lakes, like a Big Stone, yeah, go for it. You want to use it, you can use it all you want to. And then you have lakes like Pacagama, which it'll probably play fairly strong. No rules on that. We haven't any need to reduce that down. I know our sponsors rely on the ability to sell the electronics and the technology. Humminbird's been a huge player for us, so I'll continue to push all of that as best I can and represent it to the highest standard we can. And a lot of our anglers run it. So,
yeah, and I think if you followed along with the Classic Bass Produce Bartusic Media videos, I mean, mapping, 360, side imaging, 2D, front facing, it all played, but nothing dominated, right? I mean, they were all, it was an interesting part and narrative to the different lakes and rivers that we fished, but it never was like, overpowering.
Right.
So,
right. Yeah, I don't foresee there being many large rule changes. It other than maybe a little bit of practice here and there for the championship, or I thought that everyone liked the minimal practice, the 3.5 days, and what we use, speed limits enforced. That was a big one this year. Yeah, I'd like to see more. Really, if there's any technology, I'd like to see more people play around with live broadcasting during the event. Or some sort of documentation there on live and upload to their social media channels. That'd be fun to share on our pages.
I will say, us taking off much earlier than we normally do, that green really threw me for a loop getting my stream ready, because like usually there's like that time to like, and all of a sudden we're like, yeah, we're taking off right as soon as we get in the boat, and I'm like,
Yeah, Bart even gave me a hard time. Bart told me, he said, Dane, you should have told us you were leaving that early, because we didn't even have the drone up in the air when first boats were taking off.
So I do think there could be a little more consistency of like, I felt like we were the first event of the year, we were working everything out, we were behind schedule. And then probably the other events, it was kind of consistent. And then the championship, we took off way early, and it's just so.
Yeah, that 15 minutes.
On a lake that had the least amount of runtime, where we needed the least amount of time to get anywhere. I mean, like a third of the field went like 30 seconds or less. So
I got to stand there, and Scott and I stood at the end of the docks, and we get to stand and just drink our coffee and watch everyone stare at their graph and then make their first cast. So it was kind of a mental play for everyone to just stare at the fish for a minute. And some people picked their trolling motors up and ran to a different spot before 7 o'clock rolled around. So that
like they panned around and were like, it ain't it right now. Like there's not enough bait, not enough activity. Interesting. Maybe I should have done that.
Yeah, shoulda, woulda, coulda, man. Hindsight's 2020.
Yeah, this is a good question. I guess for people that maybe are watching this stream that aren't diehard Classic Bass fans, maybe kind of like, what makes Classic Bass unique? And that what I guess that makes it interesting for fans and also for anglers that want to participate, and then maybe we'll talk qualifiers after we answer this question.
Sure. I think the most interesting part is the way you have the Marshall integration with the high school circuits that are around us. Having them as a marshal, documenting the fish with a photograph and weighing the fish versus your catch photograph release method. It's more of a catch, take a picture, and weigh the fish. Your cumulative weight, that also plays into a big factor, and the real live well app and showing how the places jockey around live time. Just is like the cherry on top. So you can follow certain anglers and watch who's catching up. We also have that midday break where every angler has to come back to the dock, and you have a second half of the lake that's untouched that has been sitting there for a day and a half with fresh fish. When we release all of the boaters and the pros back out to fish in that second half and the order flips, you see a lot of big jumps and surges of people that land on fresh schools. All of that as a recipe makes Champions Tour very unique. Not to mention the media coverage within the tour. I'd argue is probably among some of the best coverage and analysis step by step from angler, from boat to like how things are progressing. So you have all of our social media outlets following interviews throughout the morning, highs and lows from the original 6 anglers we venture out with to leaders of the event. It's just a very well ran story that's narrated live time from all of the outlets. It's also very affordable for a lot of people that are trying to get into a professional circuit, and the payout is some of the best payouts that you can get in the country, and then you're fishing for a $70,000 boat at the end of the season. So it's a lot more attainable than trying to fish a national circuit. You have a national circuit presence just a lot closer to everybody in the Midwest.
Yeah. I think echo a couple things as somebody that's fished a season and fished some prior events, that there's a level of I don't know, intensity maybe is the word that I would say when you have an every fish counts and a live leaderboard. And now the blackout period are all things that, like, tournament fishing, like, some people don't like tournament fishing because it ruins fishing for them, and I totally understand it. But there's the tournament junkies like myself and most of these guys that, like, really it takes fishing and, like, takes it to another level for them, right? And that's kind of why we enjoy the competition and the extra adrenaline and all that goes with it, like when we used to play football or baseball or hockey or whatever. But so that, like,
Rich,
when you go every fish counts, it's the dopamine, and then the leaderboard and the blackout and all that stuff. It ratchets everything up.
Yeah, you've never been more exhausted than after fishing a regular season event with the Champions Tour, because every minute there's a level of stress or decision questioning that you're making. And then once you finally get it figured out, we take everything away from the pro from an app standpoint where they don't even know where they fall at the end of the day. Even though the public can watch and see where everyone moves around, the anglers don't know in the last hour how their catches line up. And then the app goes black when the timer is up, and no one knows what happened until after we tally up all the scores and the weights. So it is stressful, man. My heart, it took years off my life, I think, fishing it.
Yeah. And then I would say, I think the coverage is, outside of Bassmaster Elite, Bass Pro Tour, Invitationals, and the Opens, which a lot more travel and the coverage is, I think maybe comparable, like regional, to maybe some of the one bass stuff out west does a pretty good job as well. So I think, like, that's the kind of level we're seeing here. I think the coverage of classic bass is better than anything the professional walleye tours are putting out right now, if I'm being honest. So like, if you have a brand and a tournament angler, and it's a pretty good spot from that perspective.
It's incredible to watch the marshals like age and then become anglers, and then watch them represent the companies they dreamed of partner with. And then you have these 22-year-old kids now, who are signing really big contracts with big companies and having their life changed. They didn't have to drive outside of the Midwest to do it.
Yeah, the blackout is unique. I think somebody else asked about that earlier. Maybe just even talk about what the blackout is.
Yeah.
So basically, the last hour of the day, the anglers don't know. So for the first 7 hours of the day, we know exactly. Our marshal will tell us every fish where we are, up and down, whether we're in 63rd or first place, and how much we're leading, So, but now this year, the last hour you don't know, because it kind of like there was some times where it was very anticlimactic in past years, for the fans and for the anglers. The ceremony was kind of a foregone conclusion, right?
Yeah, we wanted to bring a lot of that excitement back to the weigh-in, right? Even though it's a catch-weigh photograph release type of a structure. And we were able to document then and record and video everything that took place when I released who actually took the trophy home. And there were a few events there where we didn't know, and the excitement was down to the last wire at the live weigh-in, which made for really good YouTube content and creativity there. But yeah, now it's that last hour. The anglers and marshals don't discuss how the Real Live Well app is updating. The general public can see everything until the tournament concludes. It goes black for everybody until we tabulate the results, and then when it goes back live again after the live ceremony, then that is the result. That is for anyone that's not there, then they can follow back up and make sure that the day tabulated out the way it ended.
I stayed and watched the good tournaments and the bad tournaments. Sometimes I knew I cashed check and I didn't. I watched the kind of the moment, right, standing there with everybody else. And I don't think there was one tournament where anybody was 100% sure that they had won.
No. Even
even when the margin was bigger than you would think, they still didn't really know. Like
every regular season event, if I remember correctly, was a surprise because of the blackout period. Aaron Teal didn't know if he hung on long enough, and Kevin Rue, and then it was
because Kevin made such a late charge, there wasn't even a camera, right?
Right.
And all of a sudden it's like, why is he standing there? Nobody's called his name, and he's the local, and all of a sudden everybody's like sweating bullets, like so.
Yeah, right. It added a little element of surprise, and I'm going to continue doing something like that for the fans that are there and for the viewership. But the Real Live Well app, you really do need to be able to watch a big majority of the event. I think it should stay the way it is, just because everyone gets to follow at home and see what happens, and then it does go black, and you wait until the final tabulations are uploaded. And if everything runs correctly and the verification of everything and the math and everything is done promptly, then within an hour of the final blast, and we're live. It's good. It's up on the website and available to watch on the Real Live Well app too.
So if we do have high school aged anglers, right? So marshals are 13 to 18.
Yep.
What's the process?
There'll be a link on the website that'll allow you to register for certain events. There's paperwork that you fill out, and then you check which one you'd like to come to. You're put into like a lottery system for each event then that you sign up for, randomly paired. But it really comes down to filling out the form, verifying your age, gathering contact information through the website and through links. Then we can communicate with you as the season approaches. I'd like to make that process a bit easier through the website, through the new website, where anglers can go in and just click 4 tiles and select which ones they want to do. Those that marshal for more events are then put at a higher chance of getting into the championship event, where you get to hop in and watch someone win a boat because that field is cut down in half. So those who marshal the most events then are at the top for priority as a list to work your way back through. Doesn't cost anything to marshal. This past year, we paid every angler $50 to be there. Boat official $50 to be there. This upcoming season, I'm looking to give away prize packs or higher valued prizes to every angler is kind of my goal. If I can get some reels or some tackle or rods or gift cards or integrate some of these big box stores too, so they can give back more to the kids and I can provide more of a value to them, I think that'd be kind of the direction I want that to all roll out. So you're paid to be there essentially, whether you're getting $50 or you're getting, $100 of prizes.
Right on.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a pretty good deal. And then obviously the more events you marshal, then also means you have more experience. So you got more experienced marshals in the championship, which I think is a good idea.
Yeah, and Paul, there was a marshal that's been doing this for a while. One of the adults that is marshaled. He even brought up the idea of having a like marshal of the year or like marshal random drawing for whose boat they were in and the points that their pro accumulated and have averages and have like a fun bracket on the side to do fun things for the marshals, right? It just makes it.
Yeah, I don't think you could. I think I like the idea of some recognition, but I don't think it should be strictly on points because then that motivates the kids in the wrong way, I guess. Right. So I wouldn't want any extra motivation for turning a 2.8 into a 2.9 or whatever.
Yeah.
So, but yeah,
sure. Yeah, I think just having the value behind the support and the value of the marshals there is crucial for this whole thing. Because without them, it's really, really hard to do this format.
Yeah, I think. I guess I'll speak to this, and you also were a Champions Tour angler for several years, so I think in some events, like at Vermilion, an experienced marshal would have went a long ways because the catch rates were so crazy that just if it took them 30 seconds instead of 40 seconds to weigh your fish and write it down so you could initial it throughout the day, when you're catching 50 or 100 fish, you're actually adding 15, 20, 30 minutes to your day, or when just it can really add up. In more of a grinder tournament like the river, maybe not as big a deal. But yeah, in some of these tournaments where the catch rates are really high or there's flurries, it can definitely help to have an experienced marshal to make the weigh process efficient.
Yeah, and we then we recorded the process and sent out mid-season kind of, this is how we want it to be done consistently. This is the method that I want everyone to follow. This is how we weigh. And then it was educating marshals days before the event, then re-educating the morning of and having the meeting. So now it's a much more prepared process for everybody. Now there's a lot less questions that have to be answered. But yeah, when you have someone that's paying attention and is ready to go and is quick to it with the phone to take the picture and is confident in reading the scale, it can help. But
I also think a lot of that can be overcome by good communication from the anglers and a little pep talk coaching in the morning before you get out there, and a couple, some coaching for the first few catches, and you can usually get your stride pretty quick. So,
and really you can tell the veterans that know the process, they're comfortable describing it. You can understand how the marshal is, feeling morning of, and I'm proud of how everyone handled it. I don't think there were very many instances where we had an issue, really at all. It was the process of catching, weighing, documenting, and releasing the fish. What was that?
Did you just sell a rod? Did I hear a cash register on your phone making the app?
Yeah, or they're buying new merch.
Or they buy Classic Bass merch, one of the two.
Yeah.
There we go.
Yeah.
Jason Holland, pandering will get you nowhere. But yeah, Dane did a good job narrating some of the videos.
Yeah, thanks. I
think what he wants you to do is, I think Dane wants you to, or Jason wants you to come do some voiceover for his videos that he puts out to add a little. I think
he's been such a huge supporter of VF Rods and the Champions Tour. I'd be happy to do that.
Nice. Let's talk qualifiers.
Yeah.
But let's take a 1 minute break and then we'll come back and talk qualifiers.
You got it.
Are you ready to reel in your next home purchase or refinance? Supreme Lending's Dream Team can help with the entire mortgage process, from pre-qualification to closing. We have a wide variety of home loan programs in our tackle box, including down payment assistance and first-time homebuyer options. You can ask HellaBass. He trusted us to help finance his home. Contact the Dream Team today by searching Supreme Lending Dream Team, or click the link below in the description, or scan the QR code on your screen.
We're back. Thanks for the Dream Team. Aaron Dagus, former Classic Bass Champions Tour angler. I wouldn't be shocked if we see him in a future qualifier.
I'm sure we will.
Yeah, I guess one quick question I see here before we get into the qualifiers. Where can you get Classic Bass merchandise?
Yeah, if you hop on that new website and you hop on the shop tab under the menu, it'll bring you to our store. It'll have shirts, different color shirts, hats, leather patches, different colors. You can navigate through there. We'll be updating and doing little sneak peeks and seasonal drops and things for men and women. But that'll all be handled through the website there under the shop tab, under the apparel right there. Yep. You can scroll down and see different Champions Tour hats and Classic Bass. There's a real live well insignias and different clothing items. There's also, you'll see some of my VF rod stuff and other fish artwork type studio shirts. So that's all through one store. Right now I have it linked to my VF rod store because it's already existed. But when you click that shop tab, all of my Champions Tour apparel and everything that goes to supporting the Champions Tour will be available right now. Someone, I think, just bought something.
Right on. There you go. All right. So qualifiers. So I guess maybe let's talk about the qualifier that was.
Yeah.
Which was on Coronas, September 20th?
20th? Yeah.
Something like that.
Yeah.
So we kind of talked about, we went from 67 to 50, but we actually went to 45. So you can bring in 5 new fresh faces.
Yep.
So you had how big a tournament on Coronas again?
50 boats. 50? I think we had 4 different states participate. 50 boats. It filled up in less than, I think it was somewhere around 15 minutes, maybe a little less than 15 minutes. I think 3 minutes to verify, but it was almost full after 5 minutes of being dropped. And then it's the qualifiers. It's a catchway release, random marshal pairing, no midday split or break. So it's a full day. Every fish counts. Total weight over a pound. On Lake Coronas, it was awesome. Rich, the biggest thing I was nervous about is you have half the field that has never fished this format and a bunch of marshals that have never done it. I got there at 4:30 in the morning, set up the trailer. Everybody was registered. Everything was done early. The takeoff from the pier was very seamless. We had no issues, no problems, and everyone had a really good time. A lot of positive feedback from the anglers that didn't make the cut. A lot of people saying they were returning to fish it again. I believe Hayden won with just under 100 pounds. Yep, 94 pounds, 15 ounces. It was very well received.
Yeah, so these are the top 5 anglers. Hayden Anderson, Harrison Nelson, Brandon Downs, Jackson Sokolowski, and Ben Bjorn. I don't know. Yep. I don't know if I got all those names right. I guess I don't know any. I don't know how much you know about these anglers, but those are the first 5 on the list to take their spots.
I don't know much about Ben. I'll have to speak with Ben a bit more to see if he's taking his invite or not. Jackson, however, I did take out fishing. Jackson purchased a few VF rods, actually. he wanted to test them out. So I took him out a week after the qualifier event. So I got to spend some good time with him, young man. I want to say recently married, local Minnetonka gentleman, very well spoken, kind of your fishing super fast, shallow water out of a smaller boat, but lethal. Brandon Downs, he builds rods for VF Rods, ironically enough. He's kind of a diverse fisherman that fishes Tonka a bunch, so he's really good at adapting on the spot. He can be lethal with a chatterbait. He can be lethal with a drop shot, but he does a lot of flipping with really small jigs. So he's a very strong angler that catches numbers. Harrison Nelson, he's a northern Wisconsin boy out of Poplar area. He's a big smallmouth fan. He's become really popular with forward-facing sonar. He's young. He's in that like 29, 30-year-old range. He fishes out of I want to say it's a Triton, an older Triton, but yeah, he's going to be a dominant angler if he continues on the path that he's led down. He's fished strong in 5-fish derbies for the team trail. And then Hayden Anderson is kind of the same Harrison Nelson story, northern Wisconsin boy, was taught by Aaron Teal back in the day, and kind of grew up fishing around myself and Teal, smallmouth guru on the Great Lakes, does a bunch of largemouth fishing too in shallow water ponds around his house. Married recently. The one thing that's in common is all of these guys don't have kids. They have multiple pets, so they just need to worry about keeping their wives happy.
They're all young-ish, and they don't have kids.
Yeah, they spend a lot of time on the water, and they're lethal. They don't have like a one-punch go-to. They just are disciplined, like really good fishermen, spend a ton of time on the water. Half those guys have spent time here on the farm. I put some of them up for summer derbies on Lake Minnetonka. Ben's the only one that I really need to sit down and speak to. Last year I called every single angler on the trail and spoke to everybody in the off season just to get feedback and introduce myself. And I need to do the same with the rookies this year and continue that trend.
Right on. So what is the plan for 2026 qualifiers?
Two of them. Yeah.
Two.
Yep, 2 qualifiers. We will be accepting entries once we release that schedule, which should be, I'd say, within a month or so. Waiting to hear back from venues. Bit smaller lakes. They're both within an hour and a half of the metro. We'll take the top 7. We'll take the top 7 anglers. They'll go up and be invited. We'll drop 7 from the pro side of Classic Bass Champions Tour, and we'll take 7 from the best of the 2 events. So if you fish both events, you get the invitation. If someone drops out and there's an open spot to fish one or the other, you can, but priority for those who fish both qualifiers. Payouts are great. It's a $500 entry, just like the Pro-Am. That way the general public can fish 3 events. So there'll be an added event next year.
So 50 boat fields, 2 events, top 7 in points after 2 events.
Correct.
Okay. Let me see. Let me check the questions here. Noah Schultz would like to know, as well as Charlie Wright, will tour anglers be able to fish the qualifiers?
Not at the moment. I can't do it yet. It really depends on. This year it was so popular I couldn't let it happen next year because it's so full already. I think the best thing to do there would be to have more pro-ams or to do like another circuit where it's a team-driven circuit or something to give our pros more options to fish more events. I don't know what the answer is there yet. I have to just wait and see what it looks like with 2 events now. Do we get the same draw from the general public? And if so, then I'll continue running down this path. But if at any point we feel like we can't fill up the field, then yeah, pros will be invited to fish.
Makes sense. Yes, it's gonna
What do you
be.
think, Rich? What do you think about adding another regular season event or giving the pros more opportunity to fish that format?
Yeah, I mean, I can see it both ways. Like, if you only want to do classic bass and that's all you want to do, then sure, adding more events. But if you're an angler that wants to still do the opens or do a division of the opens or fish the Bass Nations or the BFLs, then it really gets hard. Kind of. I think it's a really good spot right now where you get 3 events plus a championship and a pro-am that is an option. So you can build out a 5 tournament schedule, which is pretty good, and still fish other stuff. I think if you start adding regular season events, it makes anglers take choices. And now that we have to qualify and keep our spots, then because we're talking like a pretty, 7 out of 50 is not insignificant. Let's put it that way. Like, that's not, and especially now that we've went from 67 to 50, that, and there's not really any fluff in this 50. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, it's a strong field.
So on one hand, adding an event gives you more chances to get back in it, but it also potentially creates more scheduling conflicts. At the same time, we're not Bassmaster elites, right? Like it, we're not we're not making a living at this level here in Minnesota. And so then people are going to start having to choose between funerals and weddings and other family events to keep their spot. So the less likely, I don't know, you're right. It's tough because chances are those bottom 7 guys, it could be a couple of them have a tough year, but it could come down to a mechanical issue, a conflict, a family issue that probably keeps some of those anglers from requalifying, to be honest.
Yeah, and that's the devastating part of it, is that you don't ever want that to happen. Accidents happen, things take place that pull you out, and fortunately, there are more opportunities.
Which was part of it this year. There was people that missed an event that probably would have otherwise requalified.
Yeah. And now giving you more opportunities to fish the format to get back in, I think helps ease that a little bit, because you're almost guaranteed to be able to fish it 3 times again next year if you love it that much. I don't know what the answer is to all of that, but you make valid points. Most people have a valid point, right? And even integrating a team circuit that's not affiliated with tour points and people wanting to fish, and you want more opportunities to fish, well, then it just adds 3 more weekends on my plate too, where I'm not with my family and doing the things that I need to, keep close to my heart. So being a family man and a husband and a father is important too. And I still want to fish too, it's a circus act.
Yeah. So the qualifiers are $500.
Yeah.
And then when you do move up to the tour, then it's $1,000 per event.
$1,000. Yep. And so this year, all of the pros got an email that released the schedule and the minimum payout. Minimum payout meaning if there were no sponsor dollars or product, this is the base that I can pay out. So you can see what it went from 67 boats to 50 boats. And then as the sponsors sign their contracts and the product allocations come in, and I see where all of the value goes, then I can pad that payout, and it'll only go up between both product and value. But that was kind of a sticker shock to some guys who saw it only pay down 12 spots versus 17 spots this year, because it was all in relation to what we did, right? It shrunk down, so we paid less people. The qualifiers, however, will maintain the same payout as we did this year. It was $20,000 paid back out. So 80% cash back out to all the anglers. So first place was $7,500 and 10th place was still double your entry, $1,000 for 10th place.
Yeah. So is 12 staying, or is there potential that you go deeper and kind
That all
of like,
comes.
Yeah, I mean, like, it's not off the table. I mean, like
yeah, no. I would like to see 11th and 12th get paid up a little bit, and then I'd like to see how the product allotment shakes down so I can pay both more to higher spots and deeper, but that only can be done once the agreements are signed and everything. There were just too many questions from anglers about the payout to not at least disclose this is what the minimum payout is if we didn't get a single product or a single dollar.
Yeah, I was joking with another angler. I was like, last year we signed up, but we didn't know what the payouts were.
Yeah, right. Well, you knew the payouts were going to go up or they were similar. The first tournament meeting I had in Vermilion,
like first place was 12,000 or 13 or whatever, right? Like, so you knew it was going to be like first place was going to be like whatever 10 plus grand, but we really didn't know the details of what it was going to pay out. And we still signed up.
Yeah, and when I told everyone like, hey, I'm paying $2,000 to 17th place cash, everyone was like, yo, that's freaking awesome. And I'm paying $15,000 for first place, which was $2,000 more than it has ever been done before. Oh, that's really cool. But now we're taking away 17 anglers, which is $17,000 per event. What does that look like? And everyone says, well, are the payouts going to remain the same? Well, that's not physically possible. You're taking away 51 grand from the kitty right out the gate. But the sponsor dollars, if we continue to get the same sponsor dollars and product, it'll be a really good payout. It'll be better than it was.
Well, I mean, it's not impossible if there is a partner out there watching this stream or this replay that wants to take advantage of the marketing machine that is the Champions Tour.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's still possible.
Absolutely. I have my payouts and even the contract money based on tiers. As the money grows on the industry, it all correlates in percentages back over to the payout. That way, I maintain that growth where it can operate on its own. Anybody now can come in and run the tour and look at how I have it laid out and can run the tour based on what's coming in. So no one can be selfish and take from it. That's probably the number one thing. I'm not paying myself. I'm paying the anglers. What I get out of value from the tour is the exposure for my brands and my company. That makes my personal life a bit easier in terms of product and relationship on the side, but not taking from the tour.
I mean, kind of, I'm not asking for like a financial ledger here, but it kind of seems like to me, based on what you've described, right, is that the entry fees pretty much go back to the anglers, and then the kind of the base amount of sponsorship covers the media teams and the crews and the operating expenses, right? And then at some point, once you reach a threshold, then some of that sponsor stuff can flow back to the anglers. Is that a good way to describe it?
Yeah, the cash that gets paid in, I look at the percentages and what the overhead is that it takes to run the event. The money that's pulled from the entry fee goes to paying like the minimum amounts of things that have to take place, from operations to fees to permits to all of the minimums of the marketing and things that need to happen. And then as that grows, it piles money back into the payout. But really, the prizes that come from the sponsors really help pad the payout. So it's more than 100% value back to the anglers. Because some of that money does go to buy some of the product and help purchase, the deliverables for those sponsors. So in a perfect world, the value paid back to the angler is almost 125%. It's some crazy number like that. But the cash value that's paid out at a minimum is around that 81% cash value back without product. So it depends on how many of the sponsor dollars get paid in each year. And that has changed every year. It goes up, it goes down. Some sponsors leave, new sponsors come in. Some sponsors, say they're going to commit to a dollar value and then it changes. So yeah, you have to account for all of that, but it all goes back to the anglers in some fashion, whether it's a championship dinner or it's the payout. It's coming from the tour account in some way.
Yeah, Brad Laferman was really upset about no sandwiches last year, but I think he was the only one.
No, it's incredible how much. I mean, we joke about the stickers on the side of the boat. We joke about them, but if you look at 67 guys, 2 stickers, 134 stickers, 5 events, you start talking 600-700 stickers at $5 a pop, and you start going, okay. I mean, we're just talking about a sticker,
right? That's $1,000 to the last spot at every event, right? I mean,
right.
It's like, I don't really care about a sticker. I mean, the sticker is just something I got to clean off my boat before the next event.
Yeah. I tried to nitpick it as best I can just to make it as valuable as possible. And from a tournament angler standpoint, you care about fun fishing venues, well organized, good payout.
I can make my own PB&J
Everything
sandwich.
else is, yeah. And hey, if I can get a sponsor like Subway or DiGiorno or pizza or
Quick Trip or whatever, they're going to provide, Quick Trip hoagies, I'm all for it. Like if
I even contemplated setting up multiple smokers and having Traeger and running, 70 hot dogs and brats and rotating them through and trust me, we're getting there.
You can get by on a couple Wenzel Farms beef sticks just fine. Like
we're getting there. Yeah.
I think so. You did 2 pounds or I guess that wasn't you. You fished this event. 2 pounds. I mean, in the past, I think Okoboji is the only one that was ever not 1 pound, right?
Correct. That I fished. Yeah.
But at this point, so you're saying it's not impossible to change the minimum, but
yeah, it's not impossible. It's very. Yeah, sometimes it was how we were going to split the lake.
On the table, venue by venue, changing the minimum could be a thing.
Yeah,
I mean, some of the lakes we're going to this year, Mille Lacs would make a ton of sense. Yep. Big Stone could make sense.
Yep.
So yeah. So Matthew Holweg, Champions Tour angler, asks, "Can we make boat flipping great again?"
Boat flipping.
I'm thinking he's complaining about the trapping. I don't know. I'm guessing. Feels like the restrictions of landing fish is too tight, I think is what he's hinting at. I don't know. I'm interpreting what he's asking.
Yeah. That's the hard one, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, like the whole side of the boat thing, and I think what did they say that who was the one that was always just trapping the boat or fish against them and bear hugging every single fish?
I know.
Or somebody said it.
Evan Blakely a couple years ago had a few, in the video hugged up against his jacket, or like Walker. Sometimes one would come into the boat and he'd let it sit in his lap for a second. I feel like most anglers had some version or variation of that. I would like to see it remain consistent. There again, I don't want to change too many things when it comes down to the process. It's get the fish on the side of the boat and grab it out of the water, or get it flipped up and grab the line and grab the fish behind the back of its head, and that looks good for the resource, so it's not sliding across the carpet or bouncing off the side of the boat or flopping around in the cockpit. It looks really good to the marshals, most importantly, but then to anybody on the videos, it just shows that we're serious, that we're doing our part and not taking the lake for granted. That's honestly, I really think that's why you have, Grand Rapids reaching out and wanting to support the trail. You have Mille Lacs wanting to support the trail. You have Big Stone reaching out and saying that they want to support the trail. Alexandria's like, come on back, come on back. You know, you have all of these areas that are reaching back out saying, we want to have you back because you guys were a class act. I think going backwards would be allowing the fish to touch the carpet, or you got to be careful of that.
Noah Schultz, who refuses, I guess he's not having Jenna comment for him right now. So he texted me and he said, you know, going earlier with our pending open season would be the move for adding an event. Like, so.
Yeah.
I guess,
here's the deal
local
with that.
guys, that definitely makes the most sense. If people are, you know, the guys that maybe want to fish the opens, maybe that doesn't make sense for them. But you're never going to make everybody happy. But
you never are, and adding an extra event means, I mean, it's a lot of money, man. You need another $10,000 to $15,000 to add another event.
So sponsor.
You need to pay
support,
for the team. Yeah, I mean, it's not just a permit anymore. It's okay. You now have to pay a whole nother team of people photographing, videoing, driving down, boat gas, an additional 6 hotel rooms for the team. You know, it adds up. And I want to do it. I'm so excited to get these hopefully these new sponsors in line, and now it was proof in the pudding this last year. Right? The value is there.
It sounds simple, but it's not. Like with the level of production that we talked about, which makes Classic Bass unique. Also, I don't want to call it a hindrance, but it's not just that easy, right? It's not just, I'll just add another one. Let's just do another event. Let's just add another Tuesday night tournament where we go and everybody throws in their entry fee, right? And we fish for 4 hours. It's not quite that easy. So
no, unless everybody was on board with lesser payouts, which would be against what I'm trying to do.
Or less media, right? I guess that's the other thing. But then
the sponsored value is in media. Yeah. Right. It's hard, Rich. It's a balancing act.
James Chapman says, is a species half on the table? Like largies in the morning, smallies in the afternoon.
Maybe he just wants to fish for rock bass all day.
Maybe.
No, it has been talked about. We've joked about that. That will never happen for a championship because we want it to be as level and even keel as it gets for a championship. We want to throw in for a boat. Regular season, could you argue it? Maybe.
I
have to be the right thing.
You know, like on Pokegama, maybe, like someplace that has like legitimate close to. I mean, like they're spread out, right? Like Mille Lacs, sure, there's a decent amount of largemouth, but not a ton. But depending on lake split, like it really like locks you in. Like there's places that are just void of, you know what I mean? Like
a river event.
Maybe.
Yeah, river event could definitely do something like that.
But what we found is like cutting the river can be tricky.
Very.
Like I guess when the tour's done, pools 4, that's a little easier. It doesn't
much easier.
But like 7 is a maze, right? Like it was like
bear cat.
So
it was wild.
I think somebody else has everybody else qualified coming back. I'm assuming you don't know of anybody not coming back at this point.
They have until November 17th.
Yeah. We talked about how we're going to fill the spots. Any chance of going back to no pre-fishing for championships?
Yeah, there's a chance. There's always a chance for that, but I mean, there's a chance for subtle changes like that throughout the season. If once the season starts, you know what the rules are, but there could very well be a situation where we do just a 1 day of practice for a championship or 1 day of just scanning around. But the lake typically is available to pre-practice, right, up until the last event, and then it's off limits until official practice starts. So,
which I'm not super stoked about that.
yeah,
I feel like that really plays into the people with flexible jobs and no kids. That can so I'd rather see like a short window. I'd rather see a shortened window after you're in, that you still could go like take a look at something. But that's just my opinion. Yeah. Mr. Kiki says 2.5 days instead of 3.5. I mean, I would not hate getting rid of the Friday at this point. I wouldn't. So,
you
information rules. Me?
You broke up a little bit there, Rich.
Yeah, I said like I would be in support. Like I wouldn't hate going to 2.5 days and getting rid of the Friday and starting on Saturday. I don't think.
Yeah.
Less pressure on the fishery, less time off for those that would take a Friday off, or they could travel later on a Friday. So.
Yeah. Yeah,
I also think like forget what our off limits, like full 2 weeks. Like you could also like, especially if we went to 2.5 days, maybe you could just do like 1 week of off limits. Like I think as long as there's like a 5-day gap, like I don't think it really matters at that point. But there could be things. Information rules.
Well, for the qualifiers, it was completely open. All information was on the table. So qualifying guys who were able to do whatever is like the wild, wild west, have at. For the regular season events, this last year, once the lake split was announced, there's no communication between any of the anglers. So throughout practice, a lot of the anglers would communicate, what techniques are working and how that's all happening. And there really isn't a whole lot of restriction up until the moment of the split. Once the split happens, then you're not allowed to talk to any competitors.
Yeah. But I think that Paul's stance is that it's impossible to enforce, so there's not rules around it.
Yeah, and I mean, that is a hard one to patrol. We don't do the lie detector. I mean, we certainly could. We certainly could for the winter, take a lie detector, but we don't have any rules that enforce the information that you can gather. A lot of these guys are rooming together or traveling, far distances with small groups of people on Airbnbs, and the cutoff limit, I think, to practice is still was a week and a half before the event. It's not the whole week before, it's even the weekend before that. So you'd have to really pre-practice some of these events to gather information. I think with the Every Fish Counts format and the way that it sets up, it's a little harder to do also, in my opinion. A lot of these schools are moving from day to day spots, and the way that the lakes break down, it always seems to be a surprise on how somebody wins or where the school is. And it's kind of like the forward-facing thing. If you're going to fish a tournament and utilize one bit of technology or rely on one source of information or a GPS coordinate, or it's just going to burn you. I think the integrity part of it's just too strong.
I assume the Canadian border is a showstopper for passport reasons. But how is flirting with very northern Minnesota an option in the future?
Boy, they better have good cell service, Luke. I think that's more
we need a really good Starlink sponsorship for the Champions Tour.
Yeah, I think. I mean, no destination is really off the table. I mean, right now we're just trying to make it consistent and work as smooth as possible. So not in the near future, but a lake like that or Lake of the Woods or something, that's very possible.
Yeah. You got a place that wave your magic wand that you'd like to go to? Like,
well, not really off the top of my head. I think with the field of 50, you look at now the smaller bodies of water that you would like to see a tournament on with this caliber of anglers. Like what does like a pool 2, 3 in the Mississippi, like the St. Croix was really cool because that one really hadn't been exploited yet. There are fisheries and river systems and lakes or chains like that I really want to see take off. I know Wisconsin has a ton of bodies of water over there that are just littered with unknown because we haven't really been over there. Same with the Dakotas, like Wabae area. Like, I'd really like to go over that direction and take a look at, how would this pan out with 50 tour pros on it. There aren't a lot of tournaments that run out of casts. There aren't a lot of tournaments that run out of battle area that are our caliber. Like, that's where I kind of want to go venture off a little bit. But it's that.
What was the last one you said? After
the
cast?
battle lake area.
Ottertail,
like dead. But it's that cell service that really kind of is a hindrance. Yeah, right. Webster area would be freaking awesome. I that's where I start to see some of these. I don't know if I would run qualifiers out there so much. It'd be a regular season event or championship, making it more of a destination thing. Great. Like, I don't see myself running to Green Bay, but that would be fun.
Right on. Let's see here. Is there any truth to the rumor that Powerhouse is running a contingency for Yamaha powered Phoenix 721s with custom visor, highest finisher money?
It depends on how long their beard is. If their beard is longer than mine, then RJ said it could potentially go, but
sweet. Okay.
Yeah.
It seems kind of specific, but I don't know. I think.
Well, the visor would also have to have a VF logo or a Champions Tour logo on it. So.
Ooh. Fair enough.
Get you a pair of scissors.
Nice. I feel like we covered all the questions.
Yeah, for the most part.
Here's one here though. This is a good one. Jason Howland says, any thoughts on going live coverage like Bassmaster Live?
Looked into it last year. I think the cheapest going rate was $75,000 per event.
Yeah, I kind of think I don't think we need it. I think more anglers going live, and then I think more maybe like here's what I could see is like a morning 30-minute live. Like a handful of like pre-scheduled, I don't know, 20-minute, 30-minute, 45-minute lives where you get some interviews with some locals breaking down what they're seeing, but I don't think we need 4 to 6 to 8 hours of continuous coverage.
I dabbled a little bit with that at the qualifier. I ran out and did some live coverage a little bit just to kind of like see how it would be received. If you had 2 or 3 people that were planned to hop in with permissions to hop on a tour page and do that throughout the deal, and then have a hyperlink to the website or link through the real LiveWell app where you could see little updates and you could click on maybe an angler is highlighted or something, and you could click on it and watch it, or from the website you could hop on and click to the most recent live that would bring you to a link. That's where I think the angler bios would be really cool, where you could shuffle through all of the anglers and those who had live, had it hyperlinked or had it linked under their name during the event, so you could watch HellaBass from the website. You could click on it and it would bring you to HellaBass's live, and Aaron Teal's live, and Matt Howlig's live, and Evan Blakely's live, and you could pick your angler then that way. That's how I envisioned the most cost-effective route. Until everyone is on board with that, or until people even offer it, I won't have the ability to hyperlink anybody's connection. That's something that I could do morning of. You have your stream pending, and you can share your URL with me, and then I can link it up to the website, so anybody that's there watching can just click on Rich Lindgren's deal, and it brings them right over to you.
Yeah, but I think I could see like you go on the stage, you set up a little table, and like you've Dane's not on the water. Maybe you get a qualifying angler to come, like sit in as a guest, right? Kind of like, Bassmaster for the Opens will bring in an elite, right? Like, and kind of could break down, and maybe you can have like one person on the media team, like chime in from a StreamYard link, or if you had you could bring them in if they were on somebody and they could kind of talk about it. Otherwise, like a qualifying angler or somebody else that was knowledgeable, or a sponsor, right, could come in and be like, Tim Price or somebody like that could come in, and you could talk about like, well, it's interesting here that, angler XYZ is doing really well, based on what we know on him, that it's a pretty good chance that it's a largemouth flip and bite, or, or things like, you just kind of like little short. Yeah, I think that could be interesting, but I don't think we need, 6 hours of continuous halftime shows and blabbering and all that kind of stuff.
Really what it comes down to is it takes away from the media coverage that we're getting that's so valued from the sponsors right now. You're getting the different pictures, the photography, the live updates that are happening that are short little clips, and it's much easier to use and recycle and put into a folder and give back to those sponsors than to just have it live and uncut, because that doesn't last forever, and that's not easy to like cycle through and put into folders and divvy out. And a lot of these companies are able to pull from the deliverable packet and look at commercials that are being shot, pictures that are being taken, interviews that are happening, and that's what they get at the end of every event, is they get that folder. Can't do that with live.
Or I think if you had a couple short pre-scheduled where people could like tune in, like, oh, I'm tuning in for this 30 minutes because I'm going to get a glimpse of what's Noah doing, or what's Blakely doing, or whatever. I think that'd be cool. Like, but yeah, and that doesn't take away, right? Like we can stop taking photos for 5 minutes to give a glimpse on an angler, right? But we don't want to take away somebody that could be, getting videos for the final product. So,
right.
Cool. We should probably mention that you and I are signed up for the St. Jude again.
Yes, we are. That'll be fun, man. We learned a ton about that river last year.
I'm going to post our link to our fundraising page in the comments. I haven't really shared anywhere yet, but
I would love to have some sort of St. Jude participation contingency in the Champions Tour. I would love that, because there's got to be a way to incentivize our anglers to fish to ensure that there's a full field. So I'm drumming that up with the St. Jude team, just to try and figure out how I want to do that. Mm-hmm. I spoke with Gretchen at Bart's wedding here this last week. Poor Gretchen, she was approached by everybody and their brother, but I'm also excited to get some custom apparel and certain like St. Jude tees, and it'll be way cool to see.
Yeah, you and I need to have a brainstorming session in the near future here. But so yeah,
I look forward to fishing.
We are officially starting. So last year we did not start till middle of March. Beginning of March?
Might have.
It was sometime. We signed up sometime in March.
Yeah.
I want to say it was mid-March. I want to say we had 6 weeks.
Yeah. Because beginning of May, end of March. Yeah.
It was 6. I think it was 6 weeks. It was middle of March. We raised $12,000 in 6 weeks last year.
Yeah, we did. At least. How cool!
So
man.
We're looking to bring the audience along, those watching live, those watching the replay to give more opportunities to get involved. I set the goal at 12 on the page right now, but I really feel like 20 to 25 is our goal this year. We haven't really talked about it.
Yep. That's very doable. I think the most intimidating part about the St. Jude is the fundraising. And once you develop the confidence in just putting your idea out there and kind of rolling with it and sticking to a plan, it's much easier than you anticipate. That first $5,000 is probably, you think it's a monumental task, but it happens really quick.
Yeah. So yeah, exciting things to come there, and that you guys continued to surprise how awesome the audience is and the community that we built here, and how much you guys came through at the end. It was awesome. So we're gonna do our part to give you guys even more creative ways to participate, where you guys will get value and St. Jude wins. So
yeah. I look forward to it, Rich. It's going to be fun to spend some more time in the boat. I look forward to having my skeeter down there.
There we go.
We were
last year was a day and a half of just hanging out in the Camus, kind of figuring out how we were going to fish together, and we missed a check by 2 or 3 spots and 12 ounces. So
yeah, it was a good time.
Yeah, I do agree that St. Jude will max out 100 boats this year. I agree, and we're in. So I think when we signed up, there was 30 some teams already registered. So I haven't seen the number. General registration opened on Monday, so I'm not sure.
I think Gretchen said it was 40 something boats, like the highest it's ever been before pre-registration had closed. Like it's never been that high.
Yeah. So I think a lot of things, right? Obviously the boat, right, as being a giveaway, as anybody that raises over $5,000 is a huge deal. Like last year, media, like the videos that we made, right? The Bart's videos, Panger's videos, the coverage, all that stuff. Just I think is really like the trajectory. Matt Steffen, like I can't think of his name. Yeah, the other angler, the angler, Riley's dad. I can't think of his name. He's why am I blanking on? He's like a Bassmaster Open / MLF Pro. Miles Berghoff, right?
Berghoff.
Sonar.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
There are a few anglers that have been impacted that were moved enough to travel to fish the event.
Yeah. So we had guys come from Oklahoma, Illinois, Ohio, other places. So I expect it to definitely fill up. It'll be awesome. So are you up for trying something experimental here, Dane?
I'm always up for a discussion.
Roll this live show into a members only stream on the fly. There's a new feature on YouTube that just came out. We could do a little bit of like workshopping about St. Jude fundraising in our members only.
That'd be pretty fun.
And we can answer maybe what I know about this question right here about Omnia in the members only.
Yeah, what can I say? I wanted to take on another project.
Yeah. Find out if that's true next. So thank those that it looks like we can start it in 1 minute. So in 1 minute, we're switching to members only. So thanks, Dane, for coming on. Excited to see how Classic Bass. I think we addressed everybody's questions. I really enjoyed the talk and look forward to seeing how everything unfolds. And we're going to roll into a members live. I don't see a countdown anywhere, so I don't know exactly if it's like 40 seconds left or like 30 seconds, but we're learning on the fly. And I guess for those watching on Facebook and Instagram, you're going to have to jump over to YouTube. If you want to become a member, it's a pretty good deal. I think it's only like $2.99 a month. You get some cool emojis and badges and things like that. You can support the channel on a slightly higher level, do some additional giveaways and things like that. if you don't want to participate, I hope you enjoyed the hour and 50 minutes of free content. So we'll see how this works. We're testing out a new feature that YouTube has. And I guess Christofferson